Hi boys and girls, welcome to Math Workshop for today. Today is your expert task. And remember, our goal when we work on our expert tasks is to try them out independently without help. If you're struggling and you really do need some help, it's still okay to ask for help, but challenge yourself to try it on your own first. Today, the only materials that you will need are the worksheet, geometry trading cards, and something to write with. Before we get started on our math workshop for today, I want to review with you a skill that we've already learned, but that we haven't done in a little while. Take a look at this. Does anybody remember what this is called? This is a tape diagram. So today in our expert task, we're going to be working with word problems for the first time in this unit. And one of the expectations is going to be that you draw a tape diagram to represent your numbers. So let's try this out now. The first things that I want you to remember are what goes in each part of the tape diagram. So in a tape diagram, the start goes in the first box. The start is the number that you have at the beginning of a word problem. If you know how much you're starting with, you have the start. Then there's the change. The change is the amount that you're adding or subtracting. It's the part of the question that comes in and says, you had this, then something happens to it. You're getting more or you're getting less. And then the last part is the result. And the result is the start plus the change, or the start minus the change. It's what happens at the end, what you're left with. So let's do an example all together. Jimmy had 632 Pokemon cards. He gave 127 cards to his friend Karen. How many Pokemon cards does Jimmy have left? Okay, so let's think about what this would look like on a tape diagram. So starting with the start, let's think about this tape diagram for a minute. Do we have our starting number? What do we start with? We're talking about Jimmy's cards here. We do. We know that we start with 632 cards. And you probably remember this, when we are making a tape diagram, it's really important that we label our numbers, okay? Now we have our change. Do we know our change? Let's take a look. Jimmy had 632 cards. He gave 127 to his friend. How many does he have left? Okay, I think that we do have a number here that we know, which is 127. So let's decide, is 127 our result or our change? 127 is our change. We started with 632. We took 127 away. That's the change that's happening, right? He's giving away 127 cards. So that means what we're trying to figure out here is the result. This is a result unknown question. Results unknown are going to be what you're working on your expert task today. So down here, we would put a question mark and cards, right? Because we're trying to figure out how many cards he has left. All right, boys and girls, if you want to try this one out yourself, you can, and I'm going to come back and show you how I would solve it. Okay, boys and girls, here's my sample of how I solved. I drew my blocks, my sticks, and my dots. So remember, we started with 632 and we took away 127. What I did here was I crossed out. I first did my ones. I realized that I needed to decompose, so I decomposed first. Then I subtracted 7 ones, 2 tens, and 100 to get 505, and this is a word problem, so I made sure to mark it as 505 cards. So I used this tape diagram to help me with this strategy, and that's what you're going to be doing today. One of the expectations for today is that you will be drawing the tape diagram first and then using a strategy to solve. So let's take a look at our expert task together. So remember, today I want you to try out your expert task on your own, but I am going to get you started with your first tape diagram since it's been a little while since we've done these. Okay. This one up here says, Jimmy had 741 geometry cards. He gave 234 cards to his friend Karen. How many cards does Jimmy have left? So I'm going to show you how you would draw your tape diagram. Remember, this is our start. This is our change. And whatever goes down here is our result. Okay, so what do we think? Do we have our starting number? We're talking about Jimmy's cards again. He has geometry cards this time instead of Pokemon cards. Do we know how many he starts with? Let's read it one more time. Jimmy had 741 geometry cards. He gave 234 cards to his friend Karen. How many cards does Jimmy have left? It sounds like he's starting with 741 cards. Remember, you must label your numbers in a word problem. Okay, so let's see what we have in this next part. He gave 234 cards to his friend Karen. Okay. How many cards does he have left? Okay, so it sounds like 234 is the change, right? We're subtracting 234 cards. So what we're trying to figure out here is the result. Remember, I let you know that these equations are result unknown. These word problems are result unknown problems. So here you would write question mark, and remember that label cards, because this is the number that you're solving for. The next thing that I want to make sure that you have on your sheet is an equation. An equation. I want you to show me what equation these numbers represent. And you can use your tape diagram to help you see that equation because it makes it nice and clear for you. 741 minus 234 equals, and that's when you're gonna solve. So the last thing that you need to have is a strategy. Your strategy can be any of the things that we've worked on so far. You can use expanded form. You can use squares, sticks, and dots. Any strategy that you like, you can use. But just writing the equation is not a strategy by itself. You have to show me how you added them together. If you show me this equation and you tell me that that was your strategy, that means that you added on, or you subtracted from. That means that you sat here and went 741, 740, 739, 738, all the way 234 times. And I know that's not what you're doing. So you gotta make sure that you show a strategy, any strategy that you want. You're going to repeat this process with this second question too, with Alicia. You're gonna draw your tape diagram.
You're gonna write your equation, and you're gonna show me a strategy.
This one says, Alicia had 948 geometry cards. She gave 390 to her brother Sam. How many cards does Alicia have left? This last one says, Jimmy said that he has more cards than Alicia because he gave fewer cards away. Alicia disagrees. Who is correct, Jimmy or Alicia? How do you know? So for this question, I would like for you to use words to explain your thinking. So you need to tell me if Jimmy had more cards and how you know, or if Alicia has more cards and how you know. You might start your sentences like this. Those are a couple of sentence starters you could use. You don't have to use them if you don't want to. The expectations are that you will have a tape diagram, an equation, and a strategy for the first and the second word problem. Down here at the bottom, you're just using your words to explain your thinking. Okay, boys and girls, good luck. Remember to challenge yourselves with this expert task and try your best to do it independently. When you are done with this assignment, please be sure to add it as an attachment before you mark the assignment as done. Don't mark the assignment as done until after you have submitted an attachment. Good luck, boys and girls. Have fun.